Explosive guerrilla marketing at Seward, Nebraska's 4th of July. William Hovey Smith, 2015.
And here we go. Whip.
I'm the author of a series of outdoor and business books. And this video is how I use guerrilla marketing in Seward, Nebraska's 4th of July to publicize me and my products. I'm Hovey Smith, the backyard sportsman. And today I'd like to talk to you about explosive guerrilla marketing on the 4th of July. Well, the 4th of July is, of course, America's national holiday. And every community in the nation very nearly has some sort of celebratory activity around that event. By happenstance, I have connections with two towns called Seward in North America. The closest one happens to be in Nebraska, which is approximately 1,200 miles away, and the furthest one is in Alaska, which is 4,200 miles to the northwest of that. Well, my connection with Alaska's Seward was that I happened to be there the month after the Good Friday earthquake in 1967, which practically wiped that community off the face of the map. Seward, Nebraska is the state's official 4th of July city. And approximately 30,000 people come to Seward on the 4th to enjoy the celebration. So this was a large audience for my material. And I had other business in Lincoln. It being somewhat near the 4th, I decided to see if I could perhaps do a performance or something else in Seward to capitalize on that trip, expose myself in my products, and in fact do some guerrilla marketing. And all of which I did. I contacted the festival organizers and said, folks, I do stand-up comedy, I do business things, I just got back from a trip to China where I talked on business topics. I go to Europe in a few months and do the same thing. And I would love to appear in Seward and do a comedy routine for y'all, and also perhaps a bit on how to start million or billion-dollar businesses in small-town America. There was some talk back and forth, but ultimately the reply came back, yes, you are too late to get on our official program. However, we do have a time slot available in the band shell immediately before the parade on the 4th. And if you wish to appear there, yeah, we've got a slot for you. What? All right. Okay, that's just exactly what I needed. Also, I knew from previous experience that there happened to be a bookstore in Seward. And guess what? I write books. Yep. I've got 15 of them. Most of these are on outdoor subjects. However, more recently, I have been doing business titles, such as this one here, Ideas for New Businesses. Now, this is a fine little book for what it is. This is a book that a traveler, say, can take with him, go on a long trip. I have some text in here where he can actually read and be inspired to get ideas from 4 universally available sources. And then in the back pages, actually some empty sheets where he can log in his ideas and write them down. This way a traveler can record ink on paper, and nothing he writes down ever appears on a piece of company property. Therefore, this is his. So, I want to inspire people to do their own businesses and also, incidentally, sell my books. So I arranged with chapters, books, and gifts to do a signing there at 1 o'clock before the parade. I drove up to Lincoln, which is the nearest place that has reasonable numbers of hotels to stay, remembering that Seward's festivities attract about 30,000 people. It's also their homecoming, so I can expect any hotels, motels in the immediate vicinity of Seward to be booked, and have been booked for months by that time. So I stayed in a relatively inexpensive hotel near the airport in Lincoln. So I did some scouting and I took some photography in Seward because I planned to also produce a number of videos from that event, and I wanted some photographs so I could show the character of the town without crowds of people around it. Like typical small towns, there's a courthouse, some quaint buildings, post office, library, and even a functional theater. So this I did, also visited with several businesses. I checked in with the police. Yeah, I did. I do a strange kind of comedy, and I use firearms, like this blunderbuss here. And I was going to be walking around town as part of my guerrilla marketing strategy, carrying this gun. Consequently, I checked in on both the police and the sheriff's department and told them, hey, yeah, guy, you see this strange-looking fellow running around on the 4th with this outrageous sodbuster hat and carrying a blunderbuss? That's me, and I'm all right. Yeah, I'm not up to anything. I'm not going to rob your bank or anything. Promise? Promise? Won't do it. Okay. So we got those satisfied. On the 4th, I had arrived. Big day, full day of activity on the 4th, scheduled for Seward, starting at nearly dawn with a breakfast at the VFW. And I attended the breakfast and got served by the good ladies there, and had gotten off to a good start with pancakes, eggs, and sausage. Now, there were events going on at several different venues in Seward on the 4th. There were things going on at the fairgrounds, which is some distance away, not within walking distance of the town square. There were things going on at the Civic Center, which was near the town square, but I just didn't have time to get to. And there was a whole host of activities right around the town square itself. Now, these included a crafts fair. Now, among the people I saw at the crafts fair were a couple who really needed to put out some presence on YouTube video. I do YouTube videos. I teach people how to do YouTube videos. So I contacted them and talked to them and asked them if they had a presence in the YouTube market. And as it turned out, they did not. One gentleman has a business of actually breaking up barns, and he makes sort of rustic furniture and other things out of the woods. So he salvages the woods from these barns and repurposes that. And he also, on the back, puts a sheet that tells about the history of the barn, where it was, where it came from, when it was put up, when it was taken down, and the wood that was used. That gives a little added interest to a rustic object. However, his principal selling method is by taking these to different events like this 4th of July and putting them out in crafts fairs. Well, that's fine. He's a young guy. He enjoys doing it. He enjoys meeting the people. He enjoys talking to people about his products. But it's awful time consuming, and it's awful energy draining to pack up this bulky stuff, take it from place to place to place to place to a series of craft shows. Plus, there is a practical limit on how far he can physically travel with his stuff. So what we talked to him about is let the electrons do the traveling for him. Yeah! In short, do a lot of YouTube videos, him taking down the barn, him making his objects. He describes each particular barn he takes down, posts another video, makes a new class of objects, do a video about that, and sell more online and through social media. This way he doesn't have to physically transport all his objects. He gets larger exposure throughout the nation, and in fact worldwide, and his potentials for sales are vastly increased while his expenses and time involved in setting up on all these crafts fairs is reduced. This is useful information. I made an impression on this young fellow. I don't know if we will do any commercial business or not, we may or may not, but this is one aspect of guerrilla marketing. If you have a business or service, it has to be useful if you're going to market it or sell it. Just your presence per se is not usually what you're trying to sell. You're trying to sell either a service or an object like my books, or trying to get speaking gigs or something else that actually returns some cash back to you. So we did this several times around. We also talked to various people and photographed their nice vintage cars, which they had lovingly restored. some of them had been working on their cars for more than 10 years. Whoa! And they are beautiful pieces of machinery, by the way. We also talked to some businesses around the square, including an art gallery. And we actually took a still photograph inside the art gallery. We recorded a little audio. And this we later incorporated in one of the videos about the event. So we made an impression there. Again, you offer useful services. Now, previously, I had sent in a little blurb to the local newspaper, which happens to be the Seward County Independent. And the week before the actual parade, they published it. So this was on July the 1st, it was actually published, and of course the parade was on July the 4th. So that did very well. In it, I described what I was going to do for my stage performance. Now, I am not from Nebraska. I live right here in central Georgia. But I was going to tell these folks about some interesting things. Yeah. I was going to do 3 comedy sets, one of which featured young blunderbuss, Burr, here, okay, which I have had many adventures. Another about the mighty duckfoot pistol, here, unusual thing, 3 barrels that shoots them all simultaneously. And I actually conceived of a hunt to do with this pistol. Burr. Yeah, I did. And I was also going to tell them about gator hunting in Georgia. Now, there are precious few gators in Nebraska. But I also found out that in nearby Lincoln, there is a business establishment called Buzzard Billy's, where I actually, on the 3rd, ate alligator. So I could give a local connection. Now, incidentally, I also did some other scouting in the area. I went out to the west. Alcohol. Yeah. I sort of have a nose for that stuff. And I commonly have reviewed distilling operations in the East, including, George Dickel, for example, as well as Jack Daniels, both of which are located in Tennessee. And, yep, it's there somewhere. And I found it too. Nearly 30 miles away, near the town of York, there is a very large alcohol producing facility that makes commercial alcohol for putting in gasoline. Yeah, and incidentally, they also have a license to sell a portion of that stuff for food grade materials, including distilled spirits. But they did a little bit of that years back, but they haven't done it recently. So I stopped by there and took some pictures on the outside. And, yeah, it looks more like a petroleum cracking facility actually than it does a typical distillery. And then it has a large cracking tower, and they move product out of there, guys. I mean, they had huge tractor trailers full of corn going in, and tank cars and tank cars and tank cars of ethanol going out. And unfortunately, they purposely mix gasoline with the ethanol so it is non-drinkable. Terrible waste of corn liquor. But, at any rate, that's what they do. So we arranged to do an interview. Although we couldn't do it there and we couldn't do it then. I had to work through their official spokesman, who happens to live in Washington, D.C., and we arranged to do that interview later by telephone, which I have since done. And there'll be a little article about that. So as part of my guerrilla marketing and outreach, yeah, I made contact with local businesses, some major firms, some local firms, some individuals. Now, to publicize my appearance, I walked around in the sodbuster hat, whoop, yeah, with blunderbuss slung over my back, yeah, all around the town square, taking pictures, click, 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 click. And there were a lot of interesting events. After the pancake breakfast, they wake up the town with a firing of the anvil.
And here we go. With.
Now they had simultaneous events going on in the band shell. And they also had pole vaulting. A very interesting contest between firefighting units, which is sort of a tug of war with a 25-gallon drum which had pushed back and forth towards each other's fire engines with the fire hoses, and that was sort of interesting. They have the usual things like a run during the morning, and it was a beautiful day for all of this, by the way. Then I had my stage appearance. And what I would like to expose you to today is my adventures with blunderbuss, the duck-foot pistol, and something about killing alligators down in Georgia that I think you'll find very, very interesting. As a matter of fact, just last night, I promised I ate alligator. Right here in Nebraska. Yeah! Buzzard Billy's down there in Lincoln. Yep, they got good gator. Recommend it. I am by nature an idea generator. I come up with 4 to 10 ideas a day about new business prospects, new things to do, some of which I exercise through writing books, others of which I've done with radio shows and other things, as well as my over 425 YouTube videos. So this is one way I get these mental demons out of my system. So I come up with all kinds of new ideas. And it strikes me that anyone who cares to look and see, instead of just passing through life and things bounce off them, if they actually observe what's going on around them, there are business possibilities to be had. And these are not insignificant. Now, I'm not talking about little mom and pop stores on the corner. What I'm talking about is million or billion-dollar businesses. For example, in the Midwest, there are vast amounts of corn cobs produced from the production of corn. Well, of course, the grain itself goes into ethanol, feedstock for animals, and actually relatively smaller amounts for human consumption. Most of it is used for other things. Yeah, particularly these days. So these corn cobs. Corn cobs are relatively lightweight, they're porous, they're organic, they decompose in the soil, and they make very excellent packing and insulating materials. Yeah, you just grind them and you blow them into buildings and do whatever you wish to do with them. Now, if you form these things up with a little organic binder, say, even elmer's glue would work and made from milk, if you want to keep it all organic, you can form styrofoam kind of packing fitted to any particular shape. Yeah. So instead of using this relatively expensive styrofoam packing around your refrigerators or washing machines or almost anything you buy these days, you can use the compositions made of this corn cob material. No one's doing that. And they really should. It's more useful to use petroleum for other things than making styrofoam. And with the corn cobs, when you combust them, when you burn them, the fumes are much less noxious than they are from burning styrofoam. Styrofoam, when it burns, really gives off some not so healthy junk in the atmosphere. Corn cobs are much more benign in that respect. So these are just a couple of ideas, and I had several others that I exposed during that little brief session with the folks. Now, I had also contacted other media. There is a television station in Lincoln, and they were going to send a camera person out there for a half day to cover Seward's 4th. This is close to their market area, but it's not really generating much money, so they didn't spend much time on it. They sent one gal with a camera, and she took some stuff in the morning, and then she hot-footed it back so she could make a deadline. Similarly, the newspaper in Lincoln, that is the Star Journal. Now, they had a reporter there, too, who covered some aspects of it. But most of the coverage was by the Seward County Independent, which is just fine, except it doesn't travel very far. Incidentally, for a county newspaper, this is one of the best run and best looking county newspapers I've ever seen in my life. These guys do it right. They had a number of reporters. They were ranged in several age groups. They had local correspondents. They were bringing people up through the system. Outstanding effort and good writing in the paper. Wow, my compliments. They're doing this right. Well, so that got me through the performance and through the day. Now what? Now we're going to have some residual effects. Because I was unable to expound more fully on the material I presented on stage concerning new businesses, I did a subsequent interview with a reporter from the local county paper, which will be published whenever they get around to it. I also did a series of videos. I did one of my stage performance, which was valuable to me since I had never photographed myself doing a stage performance, so that was of interest to me and of use to me. So that's posted as a video. I did a little preview of a shortened version, which I could embed in a blog about Seward's 4th, which I had written. I also did a more comprehensive overall video of Seward's 4th of July activities right there around the square, and used some of the photographs I had taken the previous day. All of which is part of this guerrilla marketing strategy. So what are the elements? First off, be recognizable. Well, with all this garb, I certainly was. I mean, I was different, if nothing else. Contribute something useful to the people you're talking to. Yeah, okay. Good business tips, entertainment, so some individual counseling, make your presence known. And I did that fairly well, except that some sources were unavailable to me. The local college, for example, was not in session, and it's a small college, and the professors had just split. They just weren't there to be had. So I attempted to contact them before and during, but they weren't available. Similarly, the Chamber of Commerce, which hosts this event, would logically be involved in my activities, but I never did make contact with them. Although I attempted, I couldn't find anyone in the office on the day I tried. But they will be advised subsequently. So you try to make your local contacts, get as much media participation for free that you can get. You don't pay for advertising. You are your advertising. So that's how you make an impression and how you market yourself and how you market your products on the 4th of July. I think my coverage was pretty good. I think my efforts were pretty good. They were certainly distinctive. Whether they were bringing any long-term fruits, return visits, perhaps. Offered to do some videos for folks, like Buzzard Billy's, for example. The hints are, if you're going to do guerrilla marketing, yeah, be distinctive. Have something really to say. Have something useful to say to the people you're talking to. Also, try to contact as many areas of the media as you possibly can to get them involved in your presence. So they give you free advertising. Yeah. And doing something like a stage show is not for everybody, but if you can get a gig like that, yeah, so much the better. But now, this is Hovey Smith, reminding you to hunt what you eat and eat what you hunt. Be legal, be ethical, be safe, goodbye, God bless, and see you next time. In my book in progress, Profit, I'm going to expose a very large number of new ideas, some of which can actually be taken to patent, and some of which you can actually get an early look at before the book is even published. Now, I also do international speaking, and this is the topic that I gave in China, and it's also available for presentation to corporations worldwide. I also cook. And here I am dressed in a cooking smock, and this is the outfit that I actually wore while I gave my presentation in China, and as another example of guerrilla marketing techniques. Now, this is a sculpture, is how I view human progress. It's really pretty messy business. And here are some of my business ideas that I have in progress. And these range from $2.99 to $75 million. You can even intern with me for $10,000 for 3 months and leave with a business. I also do consulting for $200 an hour by the telephone. For more information on my books, blogs, and 425 videos, you can go to my website, www.hoviesmith.com. Good business and good luck. Goodbye, and God bless.